What am I to do?
Welcome to RazorBranding Podcast with Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
This is Jackie Russo with RazorBranding Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us on this Day of Entrepreneurs. I am so excited to be out of my office, they never let me leave, on location at Broussard Poche, and talking to the fabulous Liz, who's going to discuss with us what she knows about how she can help entrepreneurs grow. Liz, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for coming and inviting me.
Our first road trip, our first field trip, our first out of the office recording. I'm so excited about it.
Yay, I'm excited. Y'all are here.
Well, we are too, and thanks for fitting us into your schedule. Okay. So I know that with the work that Broussard Poche does with entrepreneurs, that is integral to their success. So one of my first questions is, what do you see in commonalities? Like when you look at all your entrepreneurial clients, do you see some personality traits that are in common or some work habits? What do you see that you can say, oh, that's an entrepreneur?
Someone who has, we definitely see a common trait, and it's someone who has a lot of energy, such as yourself.
I was thinking you were going to say that.
A lot of energy, a lot of commitment, and really excited about what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
When they start that journey, they do need a lot of help. They need help, and it's not just an accounting function, a Broussard Poche function. It takes a collaboration of legal services, of accounting services, of financial in general services, banking. The bankers need to be involved. And it's things such as, what form of entity do I use? How do I go about setting this up? What can my lawyer do? What can my banker do? How do I get financing to start this thing? It's just a whole team effort in getting someone started down that road and that journey.
Right. I find that in the work we've done with y'all in the past, almost decade, I am always fascinated at how y'all are so good at driving the train. I feel like when people turn to you here, that everybody on your team is able to say, I'll hold your hand. I'll walk you step by step. Right. We'll make sure there's gaps filled in. Because I know that if I don't have that leader in my life, I end up floundering. I don't know what turn. Do I call my attorney? Do I call my CPA? Who do I call?
Right.
And so I heard from your clients over and over again that y'all really take them by the hand and guide them down the journey. Do you have a set process you go through or certain questions y'all ask every time? How do you stay one step ahead of these entrepreneurs who are like, go, here, now, do?
It's not a set list. It's not set in stone because it depends on the type of industry it is. It depends on the personality that we're dealing with. And here, we're fortunate that we are a larger firm, that we can pull resources from people here who have specialized areas. Right. So if one of my clients one of the firm's clients that I'm entrusted with, calls and says, look, I have a question about some X. If I don't know, I most certainly know who here has the right answer, and I can point them in the right direction, or I can go to that person and get an answer and be able to help them go forward in their journey.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that's unique about a firm of your size is you seem to have all of this, regional expertise and all these resources, but you're still small and local and friendly and just right down the road. To me, for an entrepreneur who's starting on their journey or even 20 years in and still trying to figure things out, that's one of the most reassuring parts of what y'all do.
Right, because generally the larger the firm, the less personalized service you get.
Right.
With us, it's more of a family. It's more of a family situation where you can call me or you can email me, or you can text me, or you can just reach out.
Right. What about, because I know this is with a lot of Acadiana companies who've gotten to that growth stage where now the second generation is starting to come in. So usually that's a different mindset, a different generation. So different principles, values, thought processes. How do y'all help companies through that transition where the founding entrepreneur is hitting the sunset and the new rising second generation entrepreneur is now coming in and ready to grow again?
Hopefully we catch the first generation earlier than as he is imminently approaching sunset.
Right.
If they have identified that their second generation truly are involved enough and they want to carry on the legacy of what mom and dad started, we try and get them to come to that point in their lives thinking about it and starting to make a transition earlier. It gives them time to make sure that that second generation that they're handing off to is fully prepared when they fully take the reins. Because sometimes if you do it when I'm going to retire in a year, and a year is just not nearly long enough. So we do ease them into that transition, whether it's a succession of ownership in small pieces along the way, instead of just, here, it's yours now. That's never a good thing.
Right. No, that's smart though. And I think getting a long lead time and being able to do it in kind of bite-sized pieces, again, that's why people need experts to help guide them. Even when they have the entrepreneurial mindset, they still need people who have knowledge and wisdom around them. What about companies who have grown and their next generation isn't interested? And I'm not asking for a friend. Michael keeps trying to talk our 4 kids into loving our business, and they're having none of it. Yeah. So at what point does a founder say, okay, there is no next generation takeover. What are my options? Where do I go next?
It's the same process. We'd like to see it happen earlier, where they have identified opportunities, potentially maybe competitors or someone who is looking to horizontally expand, where they've identified interested parties. And then from that point on, the negotiations begin. Right. And it's basically the same process as handing it over to the second generation. Right. It's just not kept in the family.
Right, right. Yep. I think one of the interesting things about what y'all do is the work that I've seen this firm do for years now with startups. And the way that you work with Opportunity Machine and Small Business Development Center and all of those entities that I feel like all of Acadiana is this business incubator. And y'all are kind of leading the charge in the CPA side of that. What do you tell these entrepreneurs with their eyes to the future to think about? Like, what are the things they should consider in their development and growth?
One of the biggest things we run across, and it's not just with entrepreneurs, it's with business people in general. Taxation is a horrible word to most everyone on the planet. And it always comes down to the question of, what can I do to pay less taxes?
Right.
And we try and educate people that a decision that you make for your business really needs to be more of an economic decision and not a tax-motivated situation. Because if you think about it, if you're, let's say, going to just buy a piece of equipment just to save, 40% in taxes, but you don't really need that equipment, then you've just blown 100% of money. You've thrown 100% away to save 40.
Right.
And I'm using very general terms here.
But no, it makes sense.
But that's, I think, the biggest and most valuable piece of advice overall that you can give to people in business is don't focus so much on avoiding the taxes, but spending the money wisely.
Right. Right. No, I think that's wise advice. I was in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business cohort last year, and they were talking to one of my classmates, not to me, about this classmate was always worried about the taxes. Everything was about the taxes. And so he made sure his company had a loss every year so he didn't have to pay taxes. And now he had run himself up into a wall because he was ready to sell.
Right.
And his company did not look attractive.
Correct.
And he kept trying to explain to potential buyers, oh, no, we make all this money. And they're like, well, there's only one of two situations here. You actually lose money or you're cheating.
Right.
And neither one is good.
Right.
So what do you tell people to say, like, and I think you've said it, but really it's about being fair to the process, right? We all have our fair share of taxes. And if we're doing that, the rest will work itself out.
And there's no reason not to purchase a piece of equipment for your business if you truly need it, and it will produce economic value down the line. we're just saying don't do it just for the sake of saving on your taxes this year.
Right. Okay, so I've run through my list of questions, and I think you've done an admirable job of telling us and all entrepreneurs the things they need. Is there a question that you wanted me to ask that I didn't?
I think people, when they think of an accounting firm, they think of course, the typical compliance work. First thing you ask, what does a CPA do? Well, they do my taxes. Right. Or they provide audit services.
They keep me out of jail. That's what I think about.
Yes, they keep me out of jail. And while that's the vast majority of the work that we do, there's a whole other side. And it's more in the consulting world, where that's where the fun part of this job, because it's not fun really to do taxes.
What?
And it's really not fun in the audit world. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek.
No,
but
I've seen y'all in April. It's not fun.
Sometimes it's not fun.
It's not fun.
But I'm involved with a couple of engagements right now, two completely different spectrums. One is a businessman who purchased another business, and he's starting out with this long-lived business, and it's getting all of his financial software, all of his point-of-sale software, everything kind of set up and running so that he can easily sleep at night, I guess, because it's really, really worrying him. Right. Another project that we've been working on is another client who needed a financial audit, but their financial records were not necessarily in a form that would have been readily auditable. So it was come in and please help us get it right, get it straight.
So you take all those pieces of paper out of the shoebox and put them into a computer?
And you do the massaging and everything that needs to be done to get them audit ready. Right. And those are the fun things. Because if you talk to anybody who has a financial audit, they don't want it.
No.
They have to have it. Just like you have to file taxes. So they don't necessarily, say they don't really value those services to the extent that they really value when you come in and help them solve their problem.
Right. Well, and that's what I think of y'all as. You are the magician in my back pocket that solves business problems, helps prepare for the future, make sure we're doing the right things to stay out of jail. That's a big one for me. And so at the end of the day, you're right. It goes beyond just filing taxes. It's really about being the entrepreneur's wingman.
Yeah. And it's just being there to help people in whatever they need to make their businesses successful. That's their baby. Right. And we just need to take care of it. Right.
I think of y'all a lot of times in the Top Gun genre, right? So the entrepreneurs are Maverick, flying fast and hard, and you're Goose in the back like, hey, slow down. Let's make sure we're doing this right. Let's get a plan.
That's right.
Yeah. So when the Russians come and invert, you're the ones who are making sure nobody gets arrested.
I'm hoping we are.
I like that.
I'm hoping we're successful in doing that.
Liz, thanks so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And to everybody watching and listening, thank y'all. Happy Entrepreneurs Day. And hopefully you've gotten some good advice from this and you can keep your business running in the right direction.